Okay, I have to admit, I got it wrong. I did not think this was going to happen, but the Nvidia deal where it wants to buy ARM from SoftBank is now officially dead. If you want to find out more, please let me explain. Okay, so as you know, I've got a video about this, in fact a couple of videos about this. Nvidia offered to buy ARM from SoftBank. It was a $40 billion deal, big amount of money. It then needed to get regulatory approval from the FTC, from China, from Europe, and so on. And there were some bumps along the way. I thought they were just bumps. There was going to be some noise and some huffing and puffing, but ultimately it would go through. But it appears I was wrong. Nope. They have not accepted it. Nvidia is no longer buying ARM, and the consequences for this are pretty serious, particularly for the CEO, Simon Segars. Unfortunately, he has effectively immediately no longer the CEO of ARM, and he's been replaced by Rene Haas. I've met both Simon and Rene, both great guys. Shame to see that happen, but that's what is the penalty for this direction they took, and then unfortunately that's not worked out. So what's going to happen instead is that SoftBank still doesn't really want ARM on its books anymore. It's not seeing what it wanted to see when it made that initial investment in ARM. That's why it tried to sell it to Nvidia. So instead they're going to go for a public offering, an IPO. So ARM will have shares and it will be traded, publicly traded. And this of course will generate some income when those shares are offered. So why did it happen? What happened? Well, the reason this was a good thing in my books and why I thought it would happen is if you look at the semiconductor industry kind of in a large point of view, you've got Intel. Intel does CPUs for server and desktops, and it also does GPUs. Particularly now we're seeing even more GPU announcements from Intel. AMD do CPUs and of course do GPUs, and Nvidia do GPUs, and it kind of does some CPUs, but it's not up there with kind of AMD and Intel pushing into the server market, pushing into the laptop market, pushing into the PC market. But it could have done that. We could have actually had this Intel AMD duopoly broken, and we could have had a third alternative, which would have been with kind of Nvidia GPUs coupled with ARM technology as the main processor, running Windows, running Linux, and we could have had a whole new era of computing. Then of course you add on the stuff that's happening nowadays with machine learning. Nvidia very hot on self-driving cars and machine learning in general. That could have all benefited from having ARM under its wings. And so why was it a bad idea? Well, of course, Nvidia's rivals use ARM processors. So Apple, Samsung, Qualcomm, to name a few, all use ARM's CPU designs, and they often have to exchange sensitive data. They often have to tell them what's going on in the future, and that was okay while ARM was independent. But people are saying, well, actually, why would I want to tell Nvidia what I'm doing in the GPU market or what I'm doing in the data center market when there's that kind of conflict. Now, I thought that conflict was resolvable because, for example, Samsung manufactures chips for lots and lots of people, including Qualcomm, but it also designs its own chip so that you can have what they call that firewall that separates the two businesses. But ultimately, it didn't look like it was going to happen. So it comes out of it that Nvidia are no longer buying ARM. What they're going to do in the future is interesting to see. Are they going to try to maybe get into RISC-V, for example, like we heard that Intel's trying to do? Will they just keep on using ARM and just keep the way they're going? They certainly have big plans. Nvidia has big plans to expand, so it's not just going to stop that idea of expansion now because this thing has not happened. So we'll see in which direction it now heads. And as for ARM itself, as I said, new CEO and an IPO in 2023. Interesting times, no? Okay, that's it. My name's Gary Sims. This is Gary Explains. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. If you like these kind of videos, hey, stick around and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget you can follow me on Twitter at Gary Explains, and I also have a newsletter. Go over to GaryExplains.com, type in your email address, no spam, just the newsletter. Okay, that's it. I'll see you in the next one.